Hello and welcome everybody to Westfield High School. I'm Kirk Frederick, one of the assistant principals here and the moderator for today's roundtable. First, thank you to those of you that are here in attendance for this conversation around teen mental health and the roles that we all play in supporting our students' well-being through the different programs, experiences, and partnerships that we have. At this time, I'm going to hand it over to Annalise Amy, who is a WHS senior and one of the co-founders and co-founding members of the WHS Robbie's Hope Club or chapter here at Westfield High School, which is a teen group that tries to elevate the conversation around teen mental health. So go ahead, Annalise.
Hi, everyone. Hi, I'm Annalise Amy, like Mr. Frederick said. I'm so excited to be here today. It is just an honor to be here with all of my club members who have worked so hard over the past couple of years. You know, Nora Fleckinger and Zoe Molesky right there, we all started the club together our sophomore year of high school, and watching it grow over the past couple of years has been so amazing. And it's just so crucial. We're talking about teen mental health as we transition from the summer into the school year, as it can be really stressful for many students. And so with that, it's my honor to introduce the First Lady of the United States, Dr. Joe Biden.
Okay, thank you, Annalise. And to all the school leaders here, thank you for everything that you do to support your students. And Congressman Carson, thank you for your work for the people in this district. Let's see, where did he go? Oh, there he is. Okay. And Mayor Cook, I'm grateful for the warm welcome to your city. And each new school year, we stand on the precipice of possibility. And hallways, again, overflow with the roar of life, shrieks of excitement, shattering the summer calm. I was in a school, I guess 2 days ago, in Washington, D.C., and I think the floors never looked cleaner. It's like the first day of school, right? They never look like that again. So even now, almost a month into classes here, that bright, boundless energy still hangs in the air. But there still are some students who can't seem to call on that same wonder, whose sadness just sits behind their smile, who may be, wrestling with anxiety or feeling isolated. And I saw this in my own classroom after the pandemic, when it seemed like so many of my students were struggling to connect with other students. And I couldn't, stop thinking about this distance, and it stayed on my mind, and I kept wondering, how I could help them. And I'm sure a lot of educators in this room know that feeling, because this job as an educator really isn't a job that you walk away from at 3:15 in the afternoon. I mean, even when you're, at night you're thinking, oh, should I have done this better? How could I have done this better? Could I have connected more? It just filters in. You just can't help it. And so one day I was reading the paper, the New York Times actually, and I stumbled upon an article on connection and the importance of connection in our lives. And it talked about some of the small choices we could make each day to open ourselves up to the world and to others and to reach for joy. And it got me thinking, how could I bring this into my own classroom? So now I begin each semester, as educators know, it's how important it is to try to create community quickly in your classrooms. So we start about talking about the relationships in our lives and how we can reach out to our friends and our families and even to strangers, and how we can ease the stresses that we're carrying. Because in my classroom, I teach at a community college, so they don't know one another. My students don't know one another when they come in that first day. A lot of you do know each other because you've grown up with your people around you. And so I make it really an assignment to see how they can actively reach for joy. And what I found out that when one person begins to share, then others join in and other stories spill out. And our little community, our classroom community, it suddenly becomes so much stronger than any one of us alone. Because in their stories, and some of the stories that I just heard, there is so much resilience. Finding a way out of darkness through treatment, through community, through storytelling, and holding out a hand to pull others through. And families and educators are working to support them every step of the way. And I hope that, and I get the feeling that in this school, and that's because of you and the club and what you're all doing, I think that you can feel that there is a sense that people can share their stories and get help. That's what's happening here. So we just heard from an amazing group of young people, all the people here in the same shirts, who founded Robbie's Hope on campus. So the students here can help each other through their struggles through mental health. And the founder of Robbie's Hope is here today. And Carrie, I know that your grief is a deep scar that will never heal. You're Carrie. Nice to meet you. And this is Dr. Murthy. So thank you for coming here today. And I know that the club is really grateful for your presence. And I know what it feels like to feel like a piece of china that's been glued back together with cracks that are imperceptible, yet they're still there. And thank you for channeling your pain into purpose. And Robbie's legacy lives on here at Westfield and in chapters across the country because of you. So thank you. Annalise and the other students joining us, thank you all for your leadership. And never underestimate your power to help, to hope, to heal. And you're shining a light in the darkness, helping so many find their way through. Know that your courage does not go unnoticed, and that's why I'm here. Because when I heard about the good work that all of you were doing, I just had to come out and meet you. Because what you're doing here is going to heal communities. And it's so important to me as First Lady, as a teacher, as a mom, and as a grandma. And it's also so important to President Biden. He's investing more in young people's mental health than any other president in history. And Indiana has been a great partner. And you'll hear more, from Vivek in a minute. But there's one thing that I want you to remember. And it's not the policy details or legislative wins. It's this. It's okay, and I heard you say this, it's okay not to be okay. And you are not alone. You shouldn't have to face the rough edges of life of this world by yourself. There are people around you, educators and peers, who want to listen and who are there to support you. So let us share this weight so that you can keep reaching for the endless possibilities that exist within each one of you. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Biden, and thank you for having me with you on this trip. And I must say, just on a personal note, every time Dr. Biden and I have events like this together or in private conversation, I'm reminded of how powerful it is when we have leaders who blend empathy with knowledge, who bring their head and heart together to serve. And so thank you for being that kind of leader. and Dr. Biden. I also want to thank Congressman Carson, Mayor Cook, and Mayor Willis for welcoming us to the community. I want to thank the entire team here at the school for just having us at Westfield High. And Kari, I remember when you and I sat next to each other in Colorado at the Children's Hospital in Denver, when you told your story. I remember just being stunned then and thinking, how is it that you managed to take one of the most painful moments in your life and translate it into an effort that is now helping so many people across the country? What a role model you are for so many people, including for me. So thank you for the example that you've set. And most importantly to all the students who are here today, you represent the hope of the future, not just because young people always do, but because in this moment in particular, when we are struggling with the mental health crisis in our country, you are actually showing us how to talk about mental health more openly, how to tear down that terrible stigma that's preventing people from asking for help. And in doing so, you're helping to educate and inform generations that are older than you. And so I'm grateful to you for what you're doing today. We are here because the youth mental health crisis in America represents a defining public health challenge of our time. And I say this not only as a Surgeon General, but as a father of two young kids who looks at them each day when I kiss them and send them off to school, and who worries about what the future holds for them. I worry about what the future holds for all of our children, given the crisis that we're seeing. And I know this is personal for so many of us. I suspect that many of us know people in our lives who are struggling with their mental health. In fact, just by show of hands, how many people know someone in your life who is struggling with their mental health? So almost everyone. This is extraordinarily common. I remember being in high school and doing my homework at the table on a Sunday, and when the phone rang, there was a phone call informing me that my uncle had been lost to suicide. And I didn't know how to process that. I didn't know how to talk about that. I didn't know if I should be ashamed of that, if we did something wrong as a family. Many of us in this room have dealt with those feelings of confusion, of pain, of not knowing what to do when tragedy strikes. But I've had the chance to travel around the country and talk to young people, high school students, middle school students, college students, and to hear about what they're concerned about. And so often they tell me about what's driving the mental health concerns in their lives. They talk about their experiences being bullied. They talk about the trauma that they may have experienced. They talk about how the fact that social media, while sometimes can be helpful for some people, can often lead too many people to end up feeling worse about themselves and even about their friendships. These are real challenges. But they also talk about the unrelenting pressure of modern day hustle culture, which is pushing us to chase and chase and chase more and more and more. The real question is that it lead us to fulfillment? Is that going to lead to our happiness? So there's a lot that's weighing on the shoulders of young people today. And it was these conversations that led me to put out 3 different advisories on mental health in the last 2 years. One on the youth mental health crisis, one on the epidemic of loneliness and isolation that we are facing in America, and one on the concerning impact of social media on the mental health of young people. And there's a lot more that we've been doing as a government to address this. Dr. Biden mentioned that this has been a particularly powerful last couple of years when it comes to action on mental health. I will say that I got engaged in public health about almost 30 years ago now, which is making me feel exceedingly old when I did that calculation, but it's almost 30 years. But I will say that there is no time that I can remember like the last 2 years in terms of a time where we've had more investment, more commitment, more dialogue, more funding for public health than at any other time that I've seen this work happen. So this is powerful, and just to tell you about some of that, last year there was an important law passed called the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. This law did a lot of things, but one of the things it did was to put $1.7 billion for mental health into schools and communities. And as part of this, actually, Westfield Washington Schools has received $400,000 worth of grants from this law through the Stronger Connections grant. And this is going to support behavioral health training as well as mental health services on campus in collaboration with Ascension St. Vincent Behavioral Health. But the law also put $240 million into a project that many of you are familiar with, which is Project Aware. And I know you're familiar with it because it has a presence right here at Westfield High. This program is helping to support school-based mental health programs all across the country. And there is so much more that's happening. We've set up 988, which is a crisis line, 20 that people can call or text 24/7 to get access to trained, compassionate behavioral health counselors. You don't have to be alone if you're struggling. You can dial 988. We've also expanded the ability of schools to get financial support and reimbursement from the Medicaid public insurance program when they provide mental health services on site. And in addition to all of this, we've been investing in training more mental health providers, in using technology to bring care to where people are. You know, the future should be mental health coming to you at your school, at your home, wherever you may be, not necessarily you having to drive 30 miles and wait 3 months to get mental health care. And we've also been expanding our support for peer support programs, recognizing that all of you are some of the most powerful resources in each other's lives. And if we can support peer support programs, we can help a lot of people during a short period of time. So the bottom line is there's a lot that has happened, but there's also a lot more to do. And I know we all feel the urgency to do more. Every time I sit down with a parent who has lost a child to suicide, every time I sit down with a young person who's struggling with their mental health, and who's wondering if they're just irreparably broken, and who's wondering if there's help out there for them, I'm reminded that we have more work to do. And so we will not stop our efforts until every child who needs care can get it, until we've actually addressed the deep underlying root causes of what's driving this mental health crisis. Whether it's the trauma kids are experiencing, the loneliness they're struggling with, or the ill effects that social media can often have on young people. So we're here to hear today from you, to learn about your experiences, understand your perspective, to get your advice on what you think we should be doing more on. But thank you again so much for having us here and for all your leadership when it comes to mental health.
So with that, I would like to invite our principal, Alicia Denniston, into the conversation. And could you give us just some high-level context of the Life Ready initiative and how it promotes student development?
Absolutely. So our district, our vision is every rock, so each and every student that is in our schools, that they are life ready. And our mission here at the high school, and something that each and every staff member, so when we hire staff members who this is their calling, that it's students first, that it's wanting to invest in the lives of these incredible students. And so our mission is that we are here, we exist to empower our students and provide them with the opportunities and experiences so that they are life ready. And as a principal, I speak for our entire team and our board and our administration. There is nothing that gives us greater joy than seeing our seniors walk across that stage at commencement and being able to say and pronounce them life ready. And when we say life ready, you can picture our shamrock. It's all over here. So we have designated 3 leaves of the shamrock, and we know that being life ready is much more than academics. And we know you've talked about your inspirational words. Each student has a story. You know, each student comes here with experiences, and each student has that potential, that unlimited potential that we want to tap into. So we have really decided as a staff, we are going to focus, and this is in our courses, this is in our extracurriculars, in our athletics, in our clubs, we're going to focus on 3 leaves of the shamrock. So there's the academic skills we want to embed in that, and that's, you know, teaching our students the literacy skills, the critical thinking, and the innovation. And then those career skills, which really are the employability skills. So when we send our students out, and we want them to be ready, we want them to know how to communicate, to work with others, to have that initiative, to have that discipline. And then another, which you have addressed, that key leaf for us is the wellness leaf. And that's really about self-awareness, self-management, relationship skills, connection. And that is something that we're committed to really nurturing here at Westfield High School. And what it's about is really our students, though. It's about the student voice piece. So when they walk across that stage, we want to know we've prepared them with skills in each of those leaves. But we also want them to have tapped into a passion area, and you've gotten to hear some of that. that passion area as well, something they've been able to lead and pursue. But then they have that sense of purpose, no matter if they're going straight to college, no matter if they are going, into the military, to our armed forces, or even right into the workforce, that there's a sense of purpose that they are going to go and they are going to lead and they are going to really make this a better place. So I'm just so excited. It's all about the students here at Westfield High School, and thank you so much for joining us today.
I think it's a great time then to bring you, oh yes, of course. I think it's a great opportunity now to bring you into the conversation, Jake Gilbert, who's our Dean of Wellness, Connections, and Growth. So Alicia just made mention of our 3 leaves, and you work closely with that wellness team and the wellness leave. So can you discuss why it's such an important part of just the whole of what we do here?
Sure. So Dr. Biden, you mentioned the word connection a lot. So a big piece of what we do is we want all of our students to be connected in several ways. We're very intentional about making sure we've given time and opportunity for our kids to connect to their passions and principles and purpose. And by being intentional, that helps guide their thoughts, their decision making, and prevent some of the comparison that we know can wreck mental health. We want to make sure all of our students are connected to positive peer relationships. We work very hard to offer lots of opportunities for clubs and activities, sports, arts, to foster positive relationships. And then within our broader community of Westfield, and the workforce are for nonprofits and volunteering. Then lastly, we want all of our students to be connected to 5 caring adults. We know from Derek Peterson's research that the chances of falling through the cracks, drug abuse, incarceration, teen pregnancy, dropout risk, debilitating stress, depression, anxiety, suicidal ideation, all that is reduced down to 3% if they have 5 caring adults in their lives who they can not only go to, but they can observe and learn from and obtain some of the skills that you also mentioned. So you brought up persistent skills, and I would say that would be the other part of what we do in the wellness leave that Alicia mentioned as our principal. We want to make sure our students have the opportunity to grow in these skills, but also put them into behavioral practice and hopefully they become habitual. So when it comes to persistence or kindness or confidence, we have a curriculum that we teach throughout, very intentional about what we hope our students learn. Again, they can put that into opportunities to grow, not only in the classroom, but in multiple facets. We deliver that through our core programming, and we're very intentional that our freshmen understand how serious we are about some of these skills, because we have a senior to freshman peer mentor program that happens from the very beginning of school, and they teach these skills, senior to freshman, so that it becomes not just another thing on the plate, but it is a plate here in terms of what we believe the skills we want our students to have from a wellness perspective.
Jake. And take a brief minute just to acknowledge the incredible students that are here today. So obviously that's why we're here. It's our calling, like we said. That's why we teach. But obviously a lot of you are club leaders, you're captains of your sports teams, you're mentors in this building. And you definitely drive the narrative around teen mental health. And we just want to thank you for sharing your gifts and your talents with us, but with the whole student body and in this platform today. And a special, we already gave a shout out to Robbie's Hopes there in the purple shirts. Let's give them one more round of applause. I am going to then transition to Annalise again. So you had just made mention to with both Zoe and Nora as ambassadors and early on kind of starting up the club here. You've made a tremendous impact in our school community and inside and outside the walls of this building. So take a moment just to tell us a little bit about how you've, like what we all been talking about here, how that's made an impact personally on you as a student.
It has really positively impacted me. This whole club started, Nora, Zoe, and I just having meetings, 3 of us by ourselves before school, and just recently we had our first club meeting of this school year, and we had almost 100 people there. And watching those numbers grow has been truly amazing and life-changing. And I just I love being able to do this at this school too because of all the support I get from teachers, administrators, counselors, and things like that. I would never have been able to do it without any of them. And like Mr. Gilbert was touching on the Power of Five, like I use my Power of Five every day. I love having those connections with adults and all of those positive people who impact my life. And one of my favorite stories I constantly tell was last year right after our Save a Life walk in September for Suicide Awareness Month. A student came up to me and they were telling me about how they were at our walk and it saved their life. And hearing that really kind of showed me, we're changing lives and that we're leaving an impact not only in our school but in our community, and that really just means a lot to me.
Thank you, Annalise. I could see it on the face of the gentleman sitting next to you there, but how proud he is of you, and seeing some of the other parents here, I know how proud you are of your kids as well, just the impact and positive difference that they are making within our school building, and just the importance of that peer-to-peer programming like you just talked about, Annalise. So Pete, then I will kick it over to you too. So what is the positive difference that you've seen, or how do you feel like Western Washington schools have either supported or promoted mental health in a way that has uplifted or supported you and your family?
Well, thanks, Kurt. You gave me a tough act to follow with my daughter Annalise, and thank you, Dr. Biden and Dr. Murthy, for being here today. It's a pleasure. Thank you. So yeah, I'm obviously very proud of my daughter Annalise, and from a young age, I noticed compassion and kind-heartedness in her, and so I guess it should come as no surprise that her and Zoe and Nora, as freshmen, were looking for ways to promote mental health and well-being, and they talked about breaking that stigma of mental health and that goes with that. So they did their research and settled on Rodney's Hope, and with Kari's support, we were able to get it off the ground. And then, of course, since then, a lot of credit also goes to Westfield Schools, administration, counselors that have been involved in helping out. And so all of them coming together with their hard work has been able to turn that compassion into action, whether it be the walks, whether it be fundraising to promote that mental health and well-being. So very proud of everyone that's done that. And it's had a real impact on our community. Certainly the schools raising that teen mental health awareness with our community, and wouldn't it be great if we could spread that to the county, the state, across the country? So that would be a great goal. So, thank you.
So Dr. Murthy and Dr. Biden, obviously we couldn't be more honored and appreciative of your presence today. But also, we wanted to offer the opportunity before we do wrap up this conversation, just any closing thoughts or final remarks or responses that you'd like to make ahead of that wrap up.
I just want to thank you all for being here today, and really what this club is doing is really incredible and amazing. But I'm worried a little bit about, about the kid, especially the kid that I see in my classroom who doesn't open up. What do you do with that kid? Like, what's your approach? I know my approach, but I'm in a unique position in that I'm a teacher, that I can communicate because my students journal, and I can communicate with that student. But that's the kid I'm worried about, because as a teacher, what I've found is that the kid who commits suicide is the kid you never, ever imagined was suffering. You never, nothing was ever said, they came into class, they had the smile on their face, and so that's the student that I feel like we have to reach out to. And all of you are so proactive, and but I'm wondering about the kids, maybe the other kids, maybe the kids over here who aren't a part of the club. And it's hard. I think it's hard. Remembering back to my teenage years, to talk to people you really don't know. I mean, that's a difficult thing to do. And that's one thing I'm working on in my own classroom. So I asked, I don't know if this came into fruition, but yesterday I asked my staff to increase the number of students who were invited to this, because I felt like it was too small, and that the people who were already involved in it already had a support system in place. So I'm wondering if there's a student somewhere else in this room who might have a comment to make about something. I know it's hard, honest to God. I mean, I don't know whether I would have done it, in 10th grade or 9th grade, to stand up or to admit something. But I wonder if you have a comment, any sort of comment about how you feel about the group, how you feel like what we should be doing, something you want to say, if you have the courage to say it. I wonder if someone else might be willing, it could be a parent, it doesn't have to be a kid. Something that you feel is unsaid, that maybe you would like said. Or, I know it takes courage, so guess what? I'm in a photo line here after this, and you can write me a note and hand it to one of my staff. And let's see, Marty, come here. This is Marty. You don't know him, he doesn't know you. You can hand it to Marty. Anything you want to say to him that you want to get to me, to Vivek, something you want us to work on, something you think we should know that maybe you just don't feel comfortable speaking out in this group. So is there anyone that would like to say anything about attending today, or how they feel about, what's available at the high school, or what they feel they wish they had? Anybody have the courage?
Appreciate the invitation.
Hi, I'm Asha Bikari. I am a junior this year at Westfield High School, and I just want to thank the both of you from the bottom of my heart. I feel like this outreach means a lot, and just continuing to open these conversations and visiting schools. It's incredible to all of us, I think, to see how our lives intersect. It's not something we ever would have imagined. So being able to meet with you and just seeing that we have the support from people in the White House, it's an incredible experience for us, and just continuing to show that you're open for conversation and you want to help us means the world, and I would just love to thank you both for that.
Thank you. Is there a parent who would like to make a comment? I know, see, it's hard, it doesn't matter your age, it's still hard to get up and say, this is how I feel. Okay?
Hi, thank you so much for being here. So as the Director of Communication and the parent of 2 in the room, we just can't not have conversations. And the more that we get everyone involved, Robbie's Hope Club, to the football team, to every single club and activity, they all matter and they all make a difference. So the more opportunities we can engage as a community and be a community, it's just amazing. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Anybody else have a suggestion? I don't know, this group over here is too quiet. This is the one I have to pull from.
Hello, I'm Maya Davis. I am a senior here as well, and I want to thank you both for being here and spending time with us. I grew up around a lot of people that struggle with communication, and a lot of the time they get frustrated because they can't figure out how to communicate how they're really feeling. And I feel like through Westfield they have made significant steps towards having a great communication base. And I feel like although it's increasing very well, I feel like there's also a lot more that we can do to help people that genuinely struggle with communicating what's going on inside their brain.
So who do you think should do that?
I think it could really, a lot of the administration team could help a lot more with that. But also a lot of teachers could be trained on how to actually not directly communicate with a kid who's say they struggle with communication. I think they could be more direct and figuring out, hey, what's actually going on, rather than just kind of dancing around the topic of saying, oh, I'm fine, when you're really not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, it's a good suggestion. Thank you. Oh, this gentleman has some.
Hello, I'm Peter Amala. I'm a senior here. So I just want to share my story. I came here in the middle of the sophomore year, and I thought, like, since people here came from the same middle school, it was going to be like a close community. It was going to be hard to fit in with the people. It was going to be hard to make friends. I just want to say, on my first day I got here, I sat in the cafeteria by myself, and literally, like, not even 5 minutes, people from like who didn't know me, they were like, "Oh, are you new here?" And they invited me to their table, and I just want to say I didn't see that in my old high school, and it's a great choice to be for you guys, like, to be here. It's like a great school. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Jenna Hayes. I'm a sophomore here at Westfield. So one thing that obviously we're covering is mental health in our school right now. It's doing great. We're getting much more involvement and people are feeling 10 times better. But one thing I wanted to point out is that on social media, on some parts of it, it's promoting the suffering. It's promoting the eating disorders. It's promoting all the mental health struggles. And I feel like it needs to be fixed. Some type of trigger warning or something that could stop that. That's one suggestion, I think.
Hi, I'm Leanna Forkin. I'm a senior here in Westfield High School. I actually transferred here from Pike during my sophomore year, and I was very shy. I was someone who did not want to open up. It took me about a trimester to start making friends. And while I also transferred here, I also have step siblings who are just moving in, and we're having a hard time understanding themselves as general. And that's a big thing with mental health, just understanding how you feel first and learning to accept. And I feel like we should be talking about it is okay to accept how you're feeling and not feeling like you're forced to come out, but having that acceptance in yourself.
My name is John Wickham. I'm a senior. And I think part of some of the issues that we've talked about is the ability for teenagers to communicate with adults. And students here at Westfield, it's a really tight-knit, it's not a closed community, but it's a tight-knit community. A lot of the people in this room have known each other for years. And we're really good at talking to each other. Teenagers are really good at sharing how we feel with other people. And a lot of the times, teenagers then take that and then think it's our job, now that we know that someone is struggling, to fix it. And that's why I think this is so incredible. And Kari's work in Robbie's Hope is so incredible. She didn't make the book for teenagers, because teenagers know how to talk to each other. They know how to support each other. But it's not our job to fix each other. And a lot of people are trying too hard to fix each other instead of learning to love each other broken. And I think that we need to teach students how to extend the conversation from just me and you to someone who can help. Because it is too hard and too difficult for therapists and people who are professionals to try to reach people who are so closed off and so broken, that teenagers and people like us who have little to no experience dealing with our own emotions, trying to then help other people, it's really difficult. And so we need an education, and we need to further the message that as kids, it's our job to love each other and support each other, and to continue the conversation in the context of mental health professionals, adults who know how to help, counselors who can continue the journey without us. Because too often people talk to each other And me telling you that I don't want you to share my secret, I don't want you to tell people how I'm struggling, it's a cry for help. And too many people take it to heart and try to hide the way that everyone is feeling, and I would rather protect your life and your secret. And I think that a lot of people need to know more, that that is the goal.
Hi, my name is Brad Menzel. I'm the parent of Elise Menzel, who's on the executive team also. And the one thing I wanted to mention is at the last gala, Robbie's Hope, they had a pamphlet that talked about how students and children can talk with their parents. And that pamphlet right there. And I think that is a great piece. As I was reading through it, as far as kind of what the last student just talked about, as far as having parents listen to understand and not listen to give a solution. That I always want to help my daughter fix everything. But the listening part and understanding is probably the most important thing. I think that guide, as a parent, can also help bridge that gap between the conversations of the students and parents like myself. So thank you both for coming and addressing this. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you for being here. It's an honor to be here and to be able to speak. But as someone who was new to Westfield last year, I transferred from Pike as well, and I was a freshman. And I just know that it was hard for me to adjust. And I have a best friend who's currently struggling, and it's just so hard to see her go through that. But I think that the biggest thing is being a safe space as a friend, as a teacher, just to be someone that people can feel like they can come to you and to talk to you, because I know her and I know that she struggles with communication. So I think that being a safe space for someone and being able to have someone communicate with you and feel like that they can is the most important thing.
Last one.
So my name is Lexi Ball, and I think that the mental health of queer students is often put to the side and sort of politicized, and you don't see queer kids as being kids. You see queer kids as being these little like, I don't know how to explain the word, but not important to mental health. But every single queer friend that I have and myself, we have all struggled. I don't think I've ever met a queer kid who has good mental health, and I think that something needs to be done about that, because right now we are in such a scary time where I'm seeing some of my best friends worried that they won't be able to marry the person who they want to marry. They won't be able to live their life as the gender that they want to live by. And I think that it's just scary. And I think that there needs to be something done about it before we see more kids committing suicide. So.
Well, I think the important thing about conversations like this is that you want to keep the conversation going. So again, the invitation was already made by Dr. Biden too, those that would like to continue to comment, and then obviously for the students in the room, we hope that you have those trusted adults we talked about, the Power of Five, that you can still connect with, and I welcome any opportunity for any of you to talk with me after this as well. We may even have a follow-up, and at least to get the group together for anyone that would like to have a debrief after today. But let me wrap it up here. We're grateful again for the opportunities that have been created for and by our amazing students and staff here at Westfield High School. As you can tell, we have a lot of positive momentum, but the work's not done, but it is due in large part to the whole Westfield Washington School District. Our staff works so hard and cares so much. Furthermore, obviously, we've received a ton of significant support with Dr. Murthy had mentioned from not only local, state, and federal government that have been instrumental in building the futures for our students, but also just our local partners and also families and community members. Obviously, again, just want to recognize that that funding from Project Aware has been critical, not only in that gala, but also in allowing access and opportunity for students that need that mental health support. And then also we cannot wait for that continued prospect of the Stronger Connection grant, which will expand that web of support that's so critical for our students. In closing, again, we don't have all the answers. That's why we're asking them, right? And for the students in the room, thank you again for using your voice. We tell you that all the time. And hopefully you saw that opportunity today as a great one, again, to share what's on your heart and on your mind. But again, we are going to have to continue to work together and ask the hard questions, confront the realities that you are dealing with today, and then also to take action. But I'm very confident, knowing everyone that's in this room and having just had the brief time with you two, that together we can counter the alarming rates of either sadness or persistent depression and hopelessness that our youth are reporting today. Also together, I believe that we can remove suicide from that list of leading causes of death for teenagers. I'm very confident that together we can empower our youth to engage, advocate for change, and break down barriers, including that stigma around mental health. So thank you, and please, one more round of applause for our esteemed guests.
Just a few days ago, we celebrated as a country the anniversary of Martin Luther King's March on Washington. And I was thinking about that as you were all talking, because I think of that as a pivotal moment in our country's history, where people of different backgrounds came together for a cause that they knew mattered to all of them. This is actually a moment like that as well. We know the cause of mental health matters to everyone, that we're all affected directly or through the people we love. Yet what it's going to take to actually address the mental health crisis in our country is nothing short of a movement. And we talked about some of the policies and programs that we've been working hard to build, and those are vital, those are important. But those have to be accompanied by a culture shift, by us changing how we think about mental health, how we talk about mental health. And part of that culture shift has to also be a change in how we think about and define strength, where we recognize that kindness and compassion and love are sources of strength, not evidence of weakness, and that we all have the power to reach into ourselves and to express and extend kindness to others. And when we do, we become healers. So as you think about building this movement, I just also want you to remember that historically, the most important movements, not just in our country's history, but in the world's history, have been built by young people, have been powered by young people with the courage to think differently, to act differently, and to call for the kind of change that was needed. So I feel encouraged, as I always do when I sit down with people in high school, in college, in middle school, who see the future that we can create, and we're working hard to create it. And that's what we need when it comes to mental health. So as you go forward, please continue the extraordinary work that you're doing. Recognize just how much wisdom there is in this room because of your lived experiences, because of what you're already bringing to the table. And just remember that change happens a person at a time, right? When you reach out to somebody to check on them, that person might be struggling, you may not know it. It is so hard to tell from the outside how somebody's actually doing. We become professional experts at putting masks on and walking around showing people that everything's fine, even though we may be in deep pain inside. So don't assume that because you see someone's posts on social media and they all look happy and cheery, that people are doing great. Ask them, check in on them, show up for them. That's how we show our love for one another. It's how we extend our support. And it's how we're ultimately going to build that movement, person by person, relationship by relationship, school by school, community and by community, that will help us do what we need to do, which is create a world where everyone knows that they matter, where everyone knows that they belong, and where everyone knows that they are deserving of kindness, compassion, and love. So thank you all so much.
Wow.